So welcome, guys, to our webinar with IQPC and Bots and People on responsible generative AI use and the challenges and opportunity for enterprise implementation. And we are IQPC. We are hosting this webinar with Bots and People. IQPC is an international conference provider, and we do several events on artificial intelligence and automation and digitalization. And I'm Steffi, and I'm producing these events, and Alex is with our marketing department, and we are hosting this webinar together with Bots and People. Most of you probably know already. And yeah, what we're going to do is having a discussion around this topic. Alex will support, and you will also have the chance chatting with us and putting your question into our chat. So please feel free to use this to leave comments and to address your questions. So what's going to happen today, as I said, it's me, it's Alex, more from the providing and supporting the event, but the guys who are in the ring and who will lead the discussion today are Nico from Bots and People and Enver from Ciklum. So just to introduce you guys quickly, Nico, you are the co-founder and CEO of Bots and People, a digital upskilling provider for automation, artificial intelligence, and low-code technologies. And before setting this up, you've been as a consultant with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and since then building up a community and advising and supporting. And Enver is a senior manager at Ciklum for intelligent automation and artificial intelligence, and also one of the trainers with the Bots and People Academy. And before you led the initiatives as head of process and digital excellence at Andreas Schmidt Group in automation, intelligent automation and artificial intelligence. And today you're going to discuss the responsible use of artificial generative IA, and you're going to showcase the potential and role in various industries. So we are going to talk about ethics and cultural change and impact, and how generative IA is going to change our work environment. So talking about tech and people and value creation. And maybe we can start with where does Gen IA play a role and how it creates value, and if there is a magic formula, and what is it, if you have an answer to these questions.
First of all, thanks, Steffi, for the introduction. Happy to be here, also with Enver especially. I mean, we go this way already for a long time, so it's an honor to be with you on the conversation. You asked for a magic formula of generative AI, and I think therefore it's really important to first of all understand what generative AI means. I mean, there's a lot of conversations now around large language models, but also generative AI, deep learning, machine learning, and if you want to bring it all under one umbrella, it's important to understand that a generative AI is the part of artificial intelligence where machines can create content. And this can be pictures, can be music, and can be anything that's an output. How it's referred to a large language model is that a large language model enables the generative AI as well as deep learning or machine learning does. So this is first of all. And then it's important to also understand why we are doing it. So why is everyone at the moment crazy about generative AI? And therefore, I have a little graphic for you I want to share. So this is a study by McKinsey. And what we can see is that AI can add $4.4 trillion of value to the economy yearly. And now the question to you guys, and maybe Enver, if you could activate this pulse check we tried in the preparation session.
Activated.
Is it activated?
Yes.
Nice. So a question to you, and you can press the thumbs up or thumbs down. Do you think this is more or less than the UK GDP yearly?
Thumbs up for more, or thumbs down for less than 4.4 trillion? We are already receiving some answers. So press thumbs up for if you think that the AI can add more value than the GDP of UK, or less. So we have now some. It's interesting that the majority of people here in our live stream thinks that it is more, so that AI can add more value than the GDP of UK. But we have also some who thinks that it's too much, or the UK GDP is more, and it's not true. The UK GDP is 3.3 trillion US dollars, so AI can even add more value in the next years to come than the whole GDP of UK. That's crazy, right, Nico?
Yeah, exactly. And what we like to compare it with is, and it's also interesting on this research you can find. So if you look at work without automation, you can imagine it like a Volkswagen Polo. And with classical automation, that's like a tuned Volkswagen Polo. In 2017, there was also the same research from McKinsey saying that 50% of work could be automated. That's white collar work could be automated. And with generative AI, now only 5 years later, and this is, I think it's super crazy, they adjusted this research saying that already 60 to 70% can be automated. So it's comparable to a jump from a tuned VW Polo to an airplane. It's a lot of more value we can generate, and that's mostly because it's now not only relevant for very repetitive tasks, let's say fixed processes or workflows, but also for creative work. And this is mostly to generative AI. Yeah.
I even mean like the question for me here would be to ask where actually the value of automation or generative AI is being created.
Yeah, and this is the exact correct question. So that's the thing, and we have created an illustration for you relating to this, which we call the iceberg model for generative AI. And on the one side, there is, of course, predefined use cases. So whenever you have a fixed use case, like, for example, generating marketing content or automating customer support with generative AI, you can calculate a business case for it. It's a fixed process. And you exactly know of that predefined use case how much money you can save for the company. But the much larger benefit of generative AI lies under the surface of the water underneath the iceberg, which is enhancing work activities that aren't predefined use cases, and that relates to helping the workforce in a company to writing emails, doing research and stuff that it's not really mirrored in a defined use case, but is more the day-to-day work. And there generative AI has an immense effect. In the next couple of minutes, Enver, I think you are pretty much experienced with the predefined use cases and with a lot of things you've done there. So what could be an example for this? What do you have in mind?
There are several examples for these called predefined use cases or even high ROI use cases. It of course depends on the industry and where you are exactly looking for some value. But of course, some well-known use cases are, for example, content creation, that you use generative AI to create content for blogs, articles, social media posts, and these kind of use cases that they can really save you time, and also at the same time can maintain a consistent output. And again, it's not the goal to 100% automate these part of content creation via generative AI. It's more to assist you to, for example, streamline your processes on different blogs, on different channels, so that you can do more in the same time, or even sometimes in less time. Same comes to AI-powered chatbots. These kind of AI-powered chatbots. Just imagine you have your own company ChatGPT customer service chatbot, and your own ChatGPT can handle all of the routine customer queries. At the same time, also enhance the user experience, for example, to recommend new products, to make sure that your customers are happy, or try to figure out solutions for them as quick as possible. So there are multiple ways, and just think of your employee and your customer experience side, and you will definitely come across some predefined use cases where everybody from his personal life can relate to, and then you have your predefined use cases here.
Mm-hmm. And now, okay, you say it like this because you're an expert, that you have your own company GPT, or your own company ChatGPT. What does it mean? What kind of technology can I use as an enterprise beyond, hey guys, now you can all use ChatGPT, and we write a little like a document that's giving you some hints on how to use it? What's the technology, and how would you implement it in an enterprise?
I would even not say that you need specific technologies, because the technologies we are probably using today are not going to be the same for tomorrow. What we are, as a consulting company, are seeing here, that you need some kind of AI playbook in your company, so that the playbook outlines your initial strategies for the AI adoption, on how to identify use cases, how you will go on with the data preparation, which models are the right for the use cases. At the same time, how you will consider all the ethical and bias topics at the same time. So think of a more way that you as a company, you will definitely need some kind of a playbook there to make sure that you are not only adopting to a specific technology here, rather than having a long-term strategy on how to use Gen AI to enhance your employee and customer experience, do more in less time, and not only use ChatGPT, for example.
Mm-hmm. And what would be the content of such a playbook, Enver? So how, what is the content of it? How would you write it?
Definitely, it normally always starts with the identification of use cases, for example. So evaluate areas where you think AI can provide value. At the same time, consider your long-term business goals and challenges. So think of a way that you can, for example, map your customer experience journey, and think of a way where these kind of where your customer has challenges, and at the same time, which challenge affects your business goal here. And then think of a way where you can use AI to get rid of these challenges and solve them. And then, of course, think of ways to monitor and maintain your AI solutions. So set up some systems, use specific methods based on your landscape of IT, of different infrastructure components, set up some dashboards to handle issues, make sure that your model is up to date, and you are not generating wrong information, for example.
And so I like that it's not going through the organization and search for Gen AI use cases like hey, that's a cool technology, let's implement it, but rather what's your business problem at the moment, what's the challenge, and then could Gen AI be a solution? And then also, when I understand you correctly, how can I integrate it into existing systems to not implement a lot of new things?
A lot of times, what we are seeing here is that you probably need some kind of decision tree in your company for that, because a lot of times challenges you want to solve with, especially generative AI, you sometimes don't even need generative AI. You need descriptive AI, or you can even just use RPA or other automation tools here to improve your process without involving AI concepts or technologies here. So make sure that you have a decision tree in your company where you are evaluating the challenge or idea, and then come to the solution where you definitely know that you need that you're going to need generative AI to solve your challenge.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then, of course, it's not because we were talking about the iceberg. It's not only about these high ROI use cases, because there is definitely more than these specific use cases. I even checked it up that how much time knowledge workers are using in their day-to-day job to search information. And it depends on the statistics, but it's almost up to 40% of your time you are using to find information at the right time. So you are looking for the right PowerPoint, for the right SharePoint, for the chat message you received 2 weeks ago from your colleague, to the different LinkedIn messages you receive there. So what about using a generative AI there to have your own internally chatbot that's powered with Gen AI and is connected to all of the different systems and applications, and you are not supposed to check all of the OneDrives, Google Drives, PowerPoints, Google Slides anymore. You can just use the chatbot and ask, I am looking for following information. Can you help me, or what? How should I book a room or a car in our company? And then you are not only receiving the answer to that, you can even tell the chatbot to tell you where exactly he found the information, and making sure that he is not hallucinating, and the information you are receiving there is really from your company's data.
Yeah. And Enver, relating to that, one technical question, and also I'm really curious about how the enterprise world will develop in that sense. So I saw, especially on LinkedIn in the last couple of months, a lot of companies going live with their own GPT. I think Deichmann GPT, I saw somewhere, some Bosch initiative, they were quite early, or at least speaking about it quite early on. What is the benefit? Why don't they just use, ChatGPT? Why? I mean, there's definitely, I know also some reasons, but what is your take on it? And do you think that's sustainable to build your own GPT?
It depends on your strategy and your organization. Definitely, you can even think of that in a way that right now it's the time where you need to decide if you're a taker, a shaper, or let's call it maker. And when you're a taker here, you're just using Gen AI solutions out of the shelf, for example, GitHub Copilot or ChatGPT. As a shaper, you are fine-tuning these models with Europe internal data, for example, and having Europe internally AI-powered chatbot to search for information, or even make it. And some other companies, even in Germany, are doing that right now, that you are building your own model, you are building your own large language model, to make sure it's internally hosted. You know what's happening there. You're not losing any data at some certain point of time. So it depends on your organization, on your strategy, on your goals. But a lot of companies are choosing the way to start with the taker part, to just use ChatGPT internally in a secure way. And there, of course, you need to make sure that you are not using, for example, OpenAI ChatGPT in Germany, because it's not GDPR compliant. You can, for example, use Azure OpenAI service to have your ChatGPT internally. And in the next step, you are enhancing that with your own, for example, bots and people data. And then it not only has access to the whole World Wide Web, it also knows on which PowerPoints Nico worked in the last days.
A lot, definitely a lot. But okay, that's interesting. I also, my take on it is I see a slight parallel also to cloud. So back in the days, a lot of companies were built their own clouds or their ERP system, for example, on premise, because they wanted to shape it themselves. And in the end, we know how it worked. So everybody went to the big clouds, to the big 3 or 4. It could be that it's also the case for generative AI. I'm pretty excited what the future brings, because as you mentioned, if you enhance such a model with your own data, if you shape it yourself, it's also a little bit, it is dangerous, but at the same time is a big chance for making it more responsible.
100%. I mean, the question will be not more on the technical side. It will be more on the organizational and people side. And for me, it's still a question to answer. And maybe you can start there. Nico, is like, if the value of the we call it a iceberg lies more under the water, like how do you from a training and upskilling side, how do you think we will get the people on board? Are we supposed to train everybody on that? Are we going to see this citizen AI developer thing, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's understand why it's so important to also bring the people on board. You could also say, I mean, that's technology that's out there, ChatGPT, and everyone can hit the ground and can just use it. But then there is some limits to generative AI. And please hit the chat to write down some limits you have in mind, or some dangers if we just roll out ChatGPT and everyone can use it however he or she likes. May come with a little delay probably. And I have...
There definitely is a delay. I'll just type in the question once again. Yep. For everybody that missed it. What are the limits of generative AI, right?
Yes. And there's one illustration, and then you can guess maybe also this limit. I found an example at Google. Basically, I found this example where someone asked ChatGPT who was the sole survivor of Titanic, and then ChatGPT came up with an answer like saying it's Charles. I don't know how to pronounce it. Charles Chaffin. You can think a moment what's not good about this answer. So for sure, not good about the answer that it's not correct. So with just a slight indication of saying who was the sole survivor to the generative AI, it pretends that there was really just a sole survivor, but there was, in fact, I researched this a few hundred survivors of the Titanic. So the first limit to generative AI is that it's not always accurate. So it has this accuracy issues and hallucinations. Even if you sometimes ask it a mathematical question, because it's a large language model, it could come up with the wrong answer.
I mean, here maybe just my short thoughts on that. what we are also seeing is that you're probably also going to teach your people on prompt engineering, that how to use these kind of Gen AI chatbots, how to question it, and how to not build your questions so that you are not receiving, for example, yes or no questions and more or less creative questions, and making sure it's not hallucinating. So prompt engineering will definitely going to play a role here in the next months and years, on how to teach your colleagues, how to teach your employees, how to chat with these kind of chatbots.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's two more I want to share. This is a super interesting a story also where artists have sued Midjourney. Midjourney is a generative AI for creating pictures, and they've used as a training data, they've used the pictures of some artists, and they were suing Midjourney for using that intellectual property, and that's the second limit. So who says that? Who makes sure that no one in a big enterprise, let's say a big sports company in marketing, you would use Midjourney to create some creatives for your marketing work, and then this is hurting some intellectual property rights of an artist, for example. So this is a big risk to the company, right? And the second limit is on stereotypes, and I want you to think a moment about what happens if you ask, here in this case also Midjourney, if you ask it to draw 4 pictures of a CEO. What kind of picture do you have in mind?
I know what kind of people.
What do you expect, Enver? What do you expect?
I would like what I'm hoping to expect is, of course, have a diverse setup, a landscape of CEOs. But what we all know, that these kind of technologies have their biases, and because it's trained on all of the data we as humans created, you are going to not see, for example, people of color here, because it's mainly trained by human data, and our human data is a more or less older white man picturized as a CEO.
Yeah, and now, and this is what comes down also to the example of I would shape my own GPT. So let's imagine I train the GPT with data out of my company. Who makes sure that this data is not full of stereotypes? So this is an important thing to consider. If you would base, for example, hiring decisions, you could do that. You could upload CVs and you could ask GPT, any GPT, to what is the better candidate to hire. Then it will base the decision from the past and from existing data, and those are probably not free from stereotypes. But this is also important with responsible use of Gen AI. And you asked, Enver, about how to manage the people side, so how to get it into the organizations. And there's the first important thing is creating a culture of transparency, and also creating a culture where people can ask questions about generative AI and also are informed on a level that the management is as well, because only then they can freely decide what kind of data is used and also how they want to use it. If they don't know what it is and what happens if you type in data, then it's not possible to take a symmetric consent and good culture for it. So that's first of all the basis. And then there is 3 groups in an organization. There is the users or citizen builders, we called it. We said, Enver, right? We said in the conversation before also that also for Gen AI there's something like citizen development, but in a completely different way.
Definitely.
And then the second pillar would be on leadership. They should also understand on how to transfer it to the organization, how to make their teams aware of the risk, but also the chances of using it. And then there is the AI builders. This is mostly referred to the use cases Enver has mentioned. Here, you also need to know you're probably in the IT or you are in a more technical position, and you need to learn how to integrate generative AI with existing technology in the company, or also how to use custom data models. Yeah. What do you think about this, Enver?
I'm thinking of ways on how to initiate these kind of upskilling in the organization. Any ideas on that?
Yes, there's of course ideas. I mean, there is a lot of people also talking about reskilling, and reskilling that means to educate someone into a completely different role. So let's say the accountant in the business then becomes a data scientist. And this is a super important approach in many companies, because upskilling, and I come to that, alone is not enough. So you also need to people that change their job profile completely. But the much bigger chance lies in upskilling, where you have a domain expert, like in the finance department, like an accountant who has super relevant domain expertise, and you upskill this person with the foundations of using generative AI and make it, so to say, a tuned or an upgraded accountant that will outpace also other accountants with using the new technology. And you can almost apply that to every job role nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a great conversation up until now. Since we are at a little bit over the 30-minute mark, would you maybe want to see the two questions that we got in the chat?
Yeah.
One of them from Taskin was, did you mean integrating the old interactive bot with more interactive tools or methods? This was during the part where every enterprise creates their own GPT.
That was meant like when you build, you have 3 ways on how to do that, and we can keep in our mindset you can be a taker, shaper, or maker, and I guess that was the one to shape it or even make it. And there, what you are using there, you are using, for example, Azure OpenAI service here when you want to use it from the Microsoft environment here, and then enhance or infuse it with your own internally data, and then you have your own interactive, let's call it ChatGPT with your data, and you can chat with it with sources from your internally systems and applications. And then you not only are getting answers, you are getting answers with sources, for example. If that's meant, if not, please let me know.
And the second question from Michaela was, how do you think companies can prevent in-house GPTs from giving the wrong answers?
You can, like the short answer would be, you cannot do that. Because long answers, you can do it, but it's not easy. Because when you would make sure you are always receiving 100% correct answers, you wouldn't have any more generative AI chatbot. You would have some kind of a pre-scripted chatbot that only gives you valid answers, but you can limit that. You have different ways on how to do that. On a technical side, you definitely have the option to fine-tune your model with the temperature, with different categories within your model to make sure it's not hallucinating too much. You can give hidden prompts together with your visible prompt, saying that he should not, when he doesn't know the answer, he shouldn't make up answers and only should use data from your internal SAP system, for example. Then on the people side, we are more and more using feedback. We are more and more using human in the loop feedback, because you as the COE, for example, for these kind of tools or technology in your company, you are not seeing every question and answer that's being used with the chatbot internally. So you need to make sure that your colleagues have the option to use feedback features within the application, making sure that that they can report, for example, good or even wrong answers with a screenshot, and then with that kind of help, you can fine-tune your model even better with actual hands-on experience and answers from your colleagues.
I think my connection got lost a little bit, but I believe you gave a really good answer, probably.
I hope so. It is always a question: how do we make sure it's not making something up? And there are definitely ways on how to reduce that, but you cannot 100% make sure that it's not always giving the right thing, because as I said, then you would just have a like stupid FAQ chatbot. But there are definitely ways on how to reduce these kind of amounts to a way that you are not receiving many more wrong answers. When you are chatbot to give you wrong answers, then you are going to receive them, because the ultimate goal of these kind of technologies are to make you happy. And when you would receive always no, I don't know that, then you are not going to be happy, and you're not going to use the tool anymore.
No. And I would just add to this, because that's you gave the answer also from a technical side, Enver, and it answers the question how you can prevent giving wrong answers. On the other hand, that you also cannot prevent, for example, Google from searching false sources or information. So somehow prompting skills become the Googling skills of 2023. That means you cannot prevent it from giving wrong answers, but you can use it correctly, and you can also recheck on the answers. And that you need to have the right competence for that.
Yeah. One thing that comes to my mind, and I just want to jump in here. In the beginning, you talked about also decision making and improving your processes, and how this can be integrated from the technical side, taking also ethical considerations into this whole picture. But what's about the costs? That is interesting to the audience. What does it cost? I mean, if you have value on the one side, but what do you need, or an enterprise needs to put in?
100%. It's a good point to tackle on. There are definitely going to be costs and also risks. It depends on which way you want to go. Like when we again think of the three approaches, taker, shaper, maker, then being a taker, it's probably going to be a very less amount of money you need to invest there, because you can compare it here to your personal life. Like, what does it cost you right now to use these kind of AI technologies in a secure way? And it's sometimes like for $29 a month, you are getting ChatGPT Plus, and you can compare the same relation to your company too. But of course, when you want to build your own large language model, it's definitely going to cost you more. But it's not these kind of amounts everybody is expecting. We are not talking about 7 figures of investing here. We are more or less talking about a smaller amount of, for example, 6 figures to build your own large language model here. And when you're shaper, for example, so you are infusing ChatGPT with your internal data, it definitely depends on your data sources, on the applications. Is it just only PDF, SharePoint, SAP, external systems and applications? So definitely going to depend on that. But what I would always tell here, the risks and the costs to not get in touch right now with Gen AI is definitely higher than the costs you are confronted with while experimenting with Gen AI. So make sure you are getting your own experience here, because the money and time you are investing there is going to definitely worth it, because otherwise you are going to lose up on a big gap here to your opponents, to your other companies, to your industry. So make sure you are getting hands-on experience here, and do not worry too much about potential costs.
So, but we are going to take some lessons, I guess, as you mentioned, on uncertainties and also the word you used, experimenting. So I think that's
definitely, yeah. Nico, what would be your lessons learned from today, or such kind of, what is your top three, when we call it top three aspects of today, what you would keep in mind?
I would keep in mind that the value is generated under the surface, so with your workforce, not probably with the predefined use cases. Secondly, I would take that it has limits. Generative AI has limits in general, and what the limits are. And then I would also really consider if you should build your own GPT or not. And that's the three things.
I do think the same, that like making sure that you not only focus on the specific use cases, figure out what for you lies under the top of the iceberg, and the risk to not get involved with AI right now is higher than the costs and risk you are going to be received while being involved with AI.
Great conversation, everyone. So, Steffi, you have the honor.
So I think, thank you very much for this conversation and for discussing and outlining. I think we all have taken some very interesting aspects. What sticks into my mind is a bit that we are just in the beginning of a journey, and probably there are a lot of uncertainties, and that we really have to experiment and learn, and that everybody, or that you both recommended, that everybody has a strategy or a vision in place and carefully considers what and why they want to use it for, and then also taking the people on board and considering. And yes, so I think it was a very good conversation. And if somebody has questions also regarding, all the aspects you mentioned, I guess people can contact you.